Finally, we have waited 28 years for a good Terminator sequel after Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Terminator Dark Fate, directed by Tim Miller, produced by James Cameron, and is the 6th installment of the Terminator franchise. This one is totally retconning the 3 sequels after Terminator 2. This is the true day after Judgment Day, and the Terminator sequel that should have been the immediate follow-up to Judgment Day. So Terminator Dark Fate tells the story this half a human, half a Terminator, Grace, she is sent to protect this human girl, Danny, as she is prophesized to succeed John Connor in the human resistance against the machines on Judgment Day. And at the same time, they run into Sarah Connor, played by Linda Hamilton, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator, as they are not done with kicking Terminator butt days. The first 2 Terminator movies are untoppable, especially Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which will forever be the best Terminator movie. But after that, we haven't had a good Terminator sequel since. Until this year, that is. So now, thankfully, we can forget about shitty Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, shitty Terminator Salvation, especially screw Terminator Genesis. That worthless franchise destroyer can frickin' die for all I care. Thankfully, Tim Miller, director of the first Deadpool, and Linda Hamilton and James Cameron returning, have given the Terminator franchise a decent return to form. Terminator Dark Fate is thankfully the first good Terminator movie since Terminator 2. I wish this movie was performing stronger financially than it is right now. I mean, give it a chance, haters. Sure, it's still not a great Terminator movie, nor does it reach the flawless quality of Terminator 1 or 2, but it's at least far more worthy and watchable than Terminator 3, Salvation and Genesis. I'm incredibly thankful for Linda Hamilton for reprising her role as Sarah Connor. I miss Sarah Connor in some of the other Terminator sequels, and while Emilia Clarke did her best in Genesis, Linda Hamilton is the irreplaceable one and only Sarah Connor, as Sarah Connor is the very heart of this franchise. She to me is the true protagonist. At this point, the expression badass doesn't cover how badass she is, and in the opening of this movie, John Connor is killed off, which was an opening I didn't see coming. And after the loss of her son and having a past with a Terminator, she has now become a mentor to this young girl and other Terminators who help them face the Terminators as she did. Yeah, Linda Hamilton is certainly the greatest performance of this entire movie. She retains every single bit of her mojo, and Sarah Connor is thankfully no longer the only strong female character in this franchise. She's surrounded by 2 strong women in this movie, Danny and Grace. Danny is this she's this young innocent human girl whose brother Diego is killed off in a chase scene in this movie, and she is gradually becoming more like as Sarah Connor, more of a fighter with the help of Grace and Sarah. and Grace, I absolutely love that we get to see a different Terminator for a change, other than Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator, and Grace feels a little more emotion than other Terminators, as she is half human, so she has more of a human character traits to her, and yeah, she and Sarah Connor have sort of a distrust initially, but by the end of this movie, you realise that Grace isn't a machine at all. She is very much alive, and you are crying for her by the third act. And the Rev 9 model, the main antagonist of this movie, is well, the first threatening foe in this franchise since the T-1000 from Terminator 2. Thankfully, this movie doesn't do anything dumber with its villains, like making John Connor the villain in Genesis, but the Rev 9 model he can liquidize himself, which makes our heroes give it some force on the best strategy to defeat him. And Dark Fate knows exactly what it wants to be. It's an immediate follow-up to Judgment Day, whereas Terminator Genesis had no clue what it wanted to be. Was it a sequel, prequel, or reboot? I have no freaking clue, but Dark Fates could continued the story in a way that felt justified, that I can accept that Dark Fate exists in the Terminator lore now, and the action scenes are thankfully there to enhance the characters and the plots, to help your heart race whenever you see the characters in the chase scenes and the helicopter fights. Even the soundtrack was wonderful to listen to. This may be the most underrated movie score of 2019. Though, is Terminator Dark Fate a perfect Terminator movie? Well, to quote Simon Cowell, it's a no from me. This movie does have one particular negative that Terminator 3 Salvation and Genesis had. It has to recycle that plot line that we've seen in this franchise to death, of a Terminator being sent from the future to murder somebody from the past, and then another Terminator has to be sent to protect that character so that the future isn't altered. I'm like, do we need to do this again for the 6th time in a row? I was still loving these characters and I wanted them to be okay, don't get me wrong, but I wish the story was taking the franchise in a original direction, and was a plot that Terminator had never attempted before. Maybe we get to see the world of the Terminator. Now that would have been a infinitely more original story, and also Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator. I would have personally not brought him back for the movie. I mean, he served zero purpose to this movie narratively. He is only there for full-on Terminator fan service. I mean, we can recognise it's a Terminator movie without Arnold being in its producers. So sorry, Arnie, but of the cast members, you were the weakest for me. And also, the ending felt like a shoehorned in setup for a Terminator 7, spoiler alerts, and the story didn't feel entirely resolved. I seriously pray that a Terminator 7 is made to help wrap up this new storyline, and I think as Terminator 7 should be the final Terminator movie. There is no need for this franchise to go on longer than that. So yeah, overall, Terminator Dark Fate is the most pleasant return to the Terminator series since Terminator 2 28 years ago. Don't be put off by the other Terminator sequels sucking, because this isn't one of them. I give Terminator Dark Fate 3 stars out of 5. Good movie. So sorry this reviewer was constantly pushed back and I'm late to the Terminator Dark Fate party, but I will make more effort to get November movie reviews out faster for you guys. Well, I love you guys, thank you for watching, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. What do you think of Terminator Dark Fate, and what's your favourite and least favourite Terminator movie? Please comment and let me know. Please like this video and subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter and on Instagram, and I'll see you all next time. And remember, movies are us. Bye guys.